Hey guys, what's up? I am back with another video. So in this video, we will be checking out the performance of the iPhone 14 Plus against the iPhone 13 Pro. So the iPhone 13 Pro as well as the 14 Plus in both phones is powered by Apple A15 Bionic SoC with a 6GB of RAM with the same Apple 5-core GPU. Also on the back, we have a triple cameras on the 13 Pro versus a dual cameras on the iPhone 14 Plus, and both phones has a 12 megapixel f1.5 aperture with a sensor shift OIS. Also we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. We also have a 12 megapixel telephoto lens which gave you a 3x optical zoom with OIS, but no telephoto lens on the iPhone 14 Plus. Also we have a LiDAR scanner on the 13 Pro. So the back on both phones is made up of dual ion glass, and the frame of the 13 Pro is made up of stainless steel, which is more heavier, more stronger as compared to the aluminum frame that we have with the iPhone 14 Plus. So on the bottom, no headphone jack on both these devices, and both phones has stereo speakers. So now let's quickly boot both of these phones up at the same time. And both iPhones is running on iOS 16.2, which is the latest software as of now. So the iPhone 14 Plus faster when it comes to booting up, and the 13 Pro also right behind there. We have half a second difference between these two devices when it comes to booting up. Now let's talk about the displays between these two devices. On the 14 Plus, we have a 6.7-inch Full HD Plus Super Retina XDR OLED display with 60Hz refresh rate, and the iPhone 13 Pro has a 6.1-inch Full HD Plus Super Retina XDR OLED display with LTPO 120Hz refresh rate. So we have 120Hz refresh rate and a smaller size. Also we have a notch on both phones. On the front we also have a ceramic shield. So now let's see apps opening speed. So everything's closed up in the background. No application is running in the background. Also we have same Wi-Fi network on both phones. Phone dialer, that is very similar, and the animation feels more smoother on the 13 Pro because we have 120Hz refresh rate. Now let's open settings. That is again very similar. So we have LTPO 120Hz refresh rate on the 13 Pro, which is missing on the iPhone 14 Plus. Very disappointing to see that Apple does not give us a 120Hz in the 14 lineup. Now let's open Amazon Shopping with same Wi-Fi network. So that is exactly the same on both phones, which is expected. So the scrolling feels more smoother on the 13 Pro. In the start, I see a little jitter on the 14 Plus, but now it is at pretty stable. But the 13 Pro it is on another level because we have 120Hz refresh rate. So now let's open this. That one it is very similar. So now let's check out some games. So let's see Candy Crush Saga, Apple A15. So exactly the same performance on both phones. So Instagram, faster on the 13 Pro. And now let's see Pin Out. And that is a tiny bit faster on the 13 Pro, as you can see. So now let's open Snapchat, similar. Spotify, similar again. Subway Surfer. So Apple A15 is performing very similar on both phones, and you can see exactly the same. So let me show the speakers on both phones. First on the iPhone 13 Pro. Here is the 13 Pro looks like. And here is the iPhone 14 Plus. Yes, so the speakers it is more louder on the iPhone 14 Plus. Let's see Temper 2. And Temper 2 it is again exactly the same on both phones. As you can see, the Apple A15 on both phones is performing exactly the same in every single application, which is an expected thing. So now let's open this big game which is called as PUBG Mobile. So Apple A15 with Apple 5-core GPU. So and the 13 Pro is a tiny bit faster in that game. Also in that game we have smooth graphics with 90 FPS on the 13 Pro versus a smooth graphics with extreme frame rate. So the gaming performance it is miles better on the 13 Pro. Now let's opening up the Twitter. That one it is very similar, faster on the 13 Pro. So Zedge, and that one is also very similar, which is expected thing. Let's see scrolling, and that is feels really smooth on both phones. So last time I'm launching the cameras on both phones, default camera application. Let's see which one is faster. So now let's opening up the camera. So that is very similar. Again, we have a telephoto lens on the 13 Pro. In the video section, we have 4K 60 fps support on both phones, but with the iPhone 14 series, we have this new mode which is called as action mode. It is a super steady mode. Also in the cinematic mode, we also have a big upgrade. Now we have 4K 30 fps support with the cinematic mode, which is only at full HD on the iPhone 13 Pro. So now let's look at the front facing camera, and the front facing camera it is also improved massively on the iPhone 14 series. So now let's look at the front facing camera, and both phones has the same 12 megapixel selfie camera, but we have autofocus and f1.9 aperture versus f2.2 aperture. So the low light performance and the sharpness is increased massively on the 14 Plus. Now let's see internet browsing speed. I am using for Safari internet browser on both phones. So now let's open wikipedia.org. That is very similar. Now let's see scrolling, and that is feels again much smoother on the 13 Pro. Same thing with zooming out. And now let's open this Farsi language, and that is again scrolling feels much smoother on the 13 Pro because we have LTPO 120 Hz refresh rate. So now let's open apple.com. That is super fast on the 14 Plus, but in the start 13 Pro faster there. Scrolling again, no jitters on both phones, but scrolling feels much smoother on the 13 Pro. So now let's see RAM management on both phones. So both phones has a 6 GB of RAM. We have iOS 16.2 software on both phones. So let's see who is performed good in the RAM management. A lot of apps we have in the background. So phone dialer, that is still there. And the display, I would say it is more better on the 13 Pro. The colors looks punchier, and the viewing angles it is also better on the 13 Pro. Settings, Amazon shopping, still there. Let's see Candy Crush Saga. So Instagram, pin out, still there. Snapchat, Spotify, Subway Surfer, opening up Temper and 2. Let's see PUBG Mobile. So now let's opening up the Twitter, Zedge wallpaper application, and last we're back to the internet browser where we left, and you can see. And guys, what I have to say regarding the apps opening speed, as you can see that the iPhone 14 Plus and the iPhone 13 Pro in both phones is performing exactly the same, I would say, in system-based application as well as in games. And sometimes the 13 Pro is taking the lead, but we only have a half-second difference, which is, I would say, not a big difference at all. So in terms of the RAM wise in that area, both phones is performing excellent in the RAM management. Not a single refresh on both phones. So we have more better camera system on the 13 Pro as compared to the 14 Plus. But the front facing camera it is massively improved on the iPhone 14 series. So on the iPhone 14 Plus we have 4323 mAh battery size with a 20-watt fast charging support, but no charges in the box, while the iPhone 13 Pro has a 3095 mAh battery size with a 20-watt fast charging support, but again no charge in the box. So all I have to say, if you're looking for an iPhone in this price range, about $900, I would say that the 13 Pro overall it is a better option over the 13 Pro Max, but I would recommend you iPhone 13 Pro series over the iPhone 14 Plus. So thank you so much for watching this speed test. I hope you like this speed test. So leave your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribe to my channel for daily tech videos like this, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. And I will see you in my next video. Peace out.